Hello and welcome back to the Wallace branch. I've been away for a couple of weeks and I can't wait to get back into this playthrough and also to update you a little bit on what I've learned since the first two episodes. First of all, I now have Cartagger 19 installed and completely deleted Cartagger 22 off of my content manager. So that's going to help a lot. I think it was also messing with other things like the MI2, and so that may explain some other troubles that I was having. Second, I am planning to do these episodes closer to when they release, and always in 1 hour lengths. So for those watching on stream, no more 2 hour long playthroughs that get cut up into two segments for YouTube. This stream is definitely only going to last for 1 hour. And that's going to be tough because it goes against the momentum that tends to develop as one plays through, and is going to need to, I'm going to need to have a lot more discipline on my part, that's for sure. Next, where we're at, I mentioned in the last episode that we had a certain number of tasks, of which 3 were urgent, that they have to be done today. So let me just throw those up on screen here. Right. So actually we have 46 total tasks right now, of which 8 are in progress, only 1 done, and basically none of those urgent tasks are done. I said it was 3, actually it's 4, and we've really only gotten started on one of those because we're really poised to start with the other ones on this session today. As usually happens, not that many tasks get completed in the first 1 hour of the day because that's when trains are just coming onto the scene from Missoula or Spokane or points west. Yes, we do have some train crews in Wallace, but they might not have loaded cars or empties to work with to deliver any place, especially at the beginning of a playthrough. But now we're at 10:30 a.m., so I think it's going to pick up a little bit. Let's take that off the screen. And let's pick up exactly where we left off, which is that we've got one short RS3 train that's on screen right now with reefers that's heading up to Pottsville. The Hale Hatchery, it's going to pick up some salmon. Meanwhile, we've got the NP local coming over Lookout Pass. Should be only a couple of track miles away from where we're seeing right now. And that's also got a short train. I would say short because it has a Z3 helper engine in need of immediate maintenance. So it really can't, just watching what's happening on screen, getting a little bit worried. So it couldn't pull a full load over Lookout Pass. So that's why it's such a short train, and that's why we don't have more tasks underway for this session today. That train that's coming over Lookout Pass, though, it does have the beer that's going to Kellogg. And then we've got a lot of ore empties to deliver to the mines, and also some covered hoppers in Wallace that we need to take out to pick up sand for the cement industry chain. So, with that, let's get playing. I'll be throwing those task lists and progress lists up from time to time. Now that we're more into the gameplay. Let's see if we can just randomly spot our steam engine coming down the mountain. No, I don't dare do a lot of navigating because of the potential for a game crash, but I hear it. Uh-huh. Oh no, those are cars. Those are not trains. Here we go. There we are. We see those beer reefers and a few ore hoppers, so this guy is not even close. He's just arriving at Dorsey. That's where the siding is, and that's where this cut goes through the mountain there, and we have the Dorsey trestle, famous among rail fans of the Northern Pacific Wallace branch because it was a really excellent place for some taking photos of locomotives. You could stand right over here and you could get a perfect view of the valley and the locomotives, and yeah. Renegade Trucking says, hello, sir. How are you doing today? I am doing really excellent. I am doing especially excellent because I had taken some time away from trains and I had fixed a number of those issues that I was really worried about or frustrated by. And so, yeah, that's good. And then the other thing that's good is that the weekend is coming up. I don't really have any plans for the weekend, so that also is extremely stress relieving, if you know what I mean. So I know we don't actually have to follow this guy all the way up to the Hale Hatchery, but I think we're going to do that this time. And then after that, I'm going to jump over to the other side of the map where we have the ongoing paper pickup from the paper mill. If you watched the last episode, then you might remember that I kind of basically forgot to keep working the train there. See what our block signal is saying. Approach. Approach. Now, I have not actually labeled all the signals, so they just have numbers. I'm guessing even some of the best route creators don't really bother with that sort of thing, but yeah. And here we are at Pottsville. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to navigate. Oh, wow, there's no speed limit in this section. I'm going to have to address that at some point. Well, there is a speed limit. It's just 45 miles an hour. Might not be too realistic. So now I can mark down that we have 2 of the urgent tasks are really underway because we have this this train arriving here at Hale Hatchery. That's taking care of 1 of the 4 urgent tasks. Urgent tasks, by the way, that has to be done today, game time. Not today, meaning in the next 1 hour of streaming. I'm going to say that probably is the center. I'm not real sure. And Woody Harrelson has to pick up all of the paper. And when I initially pulled the train up to this location, I think 2 sessions ago, that is to say 2 weeks ago, YouTube time, basically I had planned to not really work this industry, to just drop off these cars and then leave. Did I go too far there? I kind of think I did. I mean, they were all at the platform, but I like to have this little crack between the 2 cars. That makes me feel very confident that I've got it correct. So that should be 4 cars and then 4 more. So at this point, I'm sort of thinking, like, why not just, you know, do the task that needs to get done? We'll see, though. Okay, so the next thing to do, this little switch engine, SW1200, which I created 2 weeks ago. So this is really its first time out. All it has to do is pull straight ahead through the Tiger Hotel and up to these little ore chutes where it's going to fill up with silver. I see that paper loading has commenced. That's good. Maybe I'll check that again. Paper loading is going well, but we don't see any loading at the Hale Hatchery. So that could be an issue. Got some very heavy track noises underneath there. Yeah, the switch engine had gone on automatic pilot up to Burke, and so just needs to take him a little bit further up to these ore chutes here. Sort of funny how when I designed this asset, I made it three chutes here and then one here. It sort of seems like I should have put more chutes. Might have to address that later. Not a priority though. But with such a short train, which I think we only need 3 cars filled, so I'm going to actually stop it a little bit early here, because I know this is, yeah, this one fills instantly. Yeah, this is not an MI2. This is actually an original multi-industry. So that's why it has that really ridiculous short fill. It's funny how the little tag takes a little bit of time to appear. I think this is going to be enough. All right. So let's put you on autopilot and go back to Wallace. NP UP interchange? No. NP Burke interchange. Didn't fill up one car, but that's all right. I shouldn't say that's all right. That is by design. That is what I intend, because we are only supposed to pick up 3. 3 cars of silver. All right, we need to get back down to Wallace, though. Now, in the last episode, I stated that we had done a good job clearing out the Wallace yard, but, you know, I really wasn't too accurate about that. I think the reality is that several things needed to get cleared out that were not cleared out. And I think I may even need to... I may sort of need to look at the spreadsheet to figure out what more needs to be done. But what's obvious on screen here is these covered hoppers that could all be assembled into one long train of covered hoppers. It just depends on how much sand I need. Oh, and I just want to say welcome to Alcinor, who is lurking. Nice. So I'm just consulting the spreadsheet here. So we need 15 covered hoppers of sand. So there's 5 there. Now each of these 2-bay hoppers counts as 1. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if we just pop in these other 3 here, then we have 12. So I think that's what I would like to do. Now, is it sort of awkward that we have an extra flat car there? Yes, it is. Oops. Can speed this up a little bit. Of course, I know when it comes to hazardous goods, trains would have like a little spacer, like a flat car, maybe, potentially. But for sand, you don't really need it. And in fact, that could be the type of heavy train where the last thing you want is like a lightweight flat car between the power and the train. So let's just put this flat car over here. Maybe we'll give it a little bit more clearance. And then after this, we'll go back and we'll check on the paper, see if we can finish loading the paper so we can get that train into, well, wherever it needs to go. So I'm not exactly sure where it needs to go next. Well, it does have the scrap cars, so very likely that would be the next target. Now, I didn't do any car tagging before this session. And it's one of those issues with me and car tagger where a lot of times car tagger isn't strictly necessary because I have to do a lot of work familiarizing myself with the next tasks anyway. So I basically know where all the trains are going and where the cars are going. And I don't have a lot of cars just sitting around in yards waiting for days and days game time, where the car tagger proves most useful, I think. But I do like car tagger, and I intend to use it more fully because I intend that each of the 2 routes that I'm doing playthroughs of will indeed essentially require it because they're going to get more and more complicated to operate. So I think once we have this train, we'll add this caboose, which means that we obviously have to pull these ore hoppers forward. And it's also a UP consist at the head end of that train. And interestingly, it's the Mammoth concentrator needs to actually have a UP train service it, pick up some ore loads there. There are a bunch of mines this session that have a very small number of ore loads that need picking up. We just saw one of those, of course. So I'm interested to see, look at all these ore cars. They're all going someplace. I don't know exactly where, but definitely the small mine servicing trips that I think are going to be handled today, that's not going to take care of very many of these cars. There we go. There is our sand train. Now, if it were some reason impossible to move these ore cars, then, it still would be possible to add the caboose, just, would have to come all the way out there that way via the Hercules and then come back in this way. But I don't think that's what I feel like doing. I feel like moving this train up. So let's just do that. And I'm not sure if you can hear, but the detector milepost just went off, indicating that so that detector message just ended. That indicates that the NP local is now down from Wallace. Down from Lookout. Okay, here we are. With the slack action, did we actually clear? Not quite. Don't think so. Okay, there we are. That should be good. All right, just make sure we have a, oh, of course we got to do this switch, and that switch should be good. Already up to 11 a.m. game time. Slow down. It's only 15 miles an hour here. One of my planned projects is that I would like to remake all of these covered hoppers. All of the 3 types that I am mainly using to ensure that they can all use skin changer. And ideally, it would be wonderful if I could somehow randomize them in terms of which one got placed. I'm not sure if the new Wagon X scripting tool would enable that. Don't think it would. But anyway, at least for the 3 different types that you see on this train, I'd at least like to I would at least like to have the skin changer working on them so that you don't have blocks of cars like this train does. And this train is not as bad as some of the ones on this route, but yeah, skin changer is definitely one of those things I've become so used to it, and it works so well with Car Tagger that I almost considered it mandatory for the cars on my route. Renegade Trucking says, got you on my 65-inch TV. I'm not actually sure how big my screen is, but I think mine might be a little bit bigger than that. And I don't know how that works for viewing it. You know, like, is the text just impossibly small for people who are streaming? Because a lot of people probably stream on their mobile device, their phone. I don't. I stream on my computer, but... And I stream some games where I can tell the people they're using some pretty high resolution stuff, so I don't think I'm an absolute outlier. I am not a streamer. I am not a streamer. I am not a streaming expert. I am a total novice. Newbie. Okay, so now we can take you to drive via Smelterville, Maine. Is that an option? Yes, it is. And it's going. That's what we like to see. Okay, I am going to look at the spreadsheet once again. In the earlier stream, I had been looking at the spreadsheet on the screen while streaming, and I feel like that's a little bit distracting and hard to look at. Not only is the text too small, but it might not be pleasant to look at. So I've started doing that on a second screen, so that does mean some, I guess, dead air sometimes. Come on over to, who do we have here? I had to reshuffle some of the locomotive engineers. So this is Alan Alda. So Alan Alda, it's nice to be able to stay in the same little area here. And Alan Alda can come over here and pick up some ore cars. And there's no need for a caboose, because under the rule that I set for myself earlier, anything that is inside of Wallace, which the Wallace concentrator is, we do not need a caboose to travel between the Wallace yard and that industry. For traveling in between Wallace and Mullen, which are pretty close. Oops, I didn't quite go to the right track there, did I? Then we will need a caboose still. That's 2 different cities, 2 different towns. The same thing would be true for Kellogg and the Kellogg smelter. They're separated by a few miles in that case, but still in the same town. But we are operating as if it is, let's say, 1970s. So we need 3 silver and 2 lead. Renegade Trucking says text is readable on the TV. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one, right? Yeah, it's a little bit confusing when you do a coupling job like that where the train already has a locomotive. In that case, it might forget who you are. I might have clicked on another car, but usually when it forgets who you are, it's because you yourself clicked on a different car. But in this case, it's a passive change of control where essentially you lost control simply because the 2 trains coupled. Well, you didn't lose control, you just your person you were controlling switched. Now we may need to do the do-si-do here where this train is blocking our exit path on the other side of the yard, but that is no problem, just have to be aware. Actually, he's not even blocking it, but I'm going to back him up a little bit just to make sure, just so that it looks nice. So he's got nice clearance on that side. And I'm going to pause it so that I can put him on autopilot. It's a little bit weird to go on autopilot because we're so close to the destination. But Mammoth UP Silver, right? I got to go over and look and see which one is the closest. Okay. Now, sometimes they'll just stop because they can't figure out how to get there. So I'm going to watch them a little while too. I'm going to zoom out so I can see which one it is. Okay, silver is there. And lead is here. Interesting. So that means that I won't have to, I don't have to worry about picking up lead if I need silver in reality because they're actually on the 2 different tracks. Track layout might not look very pretty in here, but it is actually prototypical based on the Sanborn maps. And these are both turned in. Why is that one blocked? Oh, we actually have a train coming here. A little bit far away though. Oh, not too far actually. All right, well, that's going to be interesting. You guys, you work that out on your own. I'm going to head over to Ooh, that is very nicely spotted. I said before I zoomed in a little bit. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, that's already done, taken care of. Totally blocking our path in. Yeah, all right, we just have to spot these cars out on the track. I'm not going to bother loading them all. Looks like all 4 of those cars are indeed loading at the paper factory. Okay, let's stop you here so we can just sort of leave that. Well, maybe just take it a little bit further and then leave the caboose so that we can head the train off the map. Yeah, that should be good enough. Another point where I think, gosh, undoubtedly is not the way they do it in real life, but yeah. I love the air horn on the Toomey Little Joe. It's really well done. I don't have enough diversity of horns on my route, so that's making a major contribution. I think I have 20 of these beer cars, reefers. I did not throw the switch. It's so annoying. I was looking at the track profile and I'm like, why is it not showing the industry? Well, we can remove the pantograph because we're leaving the pantograph area, right? There's no doubt that we have plenty of power on this train. There's no issue with those SD40-2s being able to pull the train. Got this one, got that one. So we are looking good. All right, that should be pretty good. Maybe a little bit more, try to get 3 at a time. Okay. Now, as promised, it's going to be a very short train. But the rest of the train is just heading to Missoula, so we don't have to worry about it from now on. All right. Autopilot to navigate to NP portal. Sort of looks like we completely passed where we needed to go. Mammoth? Mine, UP Silver. I thought I hit Mammoth Concentrator. Come on. Maybe this was the problem, that I couldn't actually see them all. Mammoth Mine. Mammoth Standard, Silver. I see, I did send it to the wrong place. Shoot. Okay, turn around. Don't go over there. Go to the other place. And here is our train. So we've got the first shipment of ore. We're going to have a lot of ore in the end that kind of need to go to the smelter. But the question for right now is where to put it all. Now, I think most of these ore cars here, they are going to have to be going to either Hunter, but I think actually in reality they're going to the morning mine. But I don't know. We're not handling them this session today, so that's why I'm not paying any attention to that issue. I suspect all of the paper is done, so we can get the... Yeah, looking good. I need to do a little bit more close-in action, don't I? Especially when we're on autopilot like this. Well, we're not on autopilot, we're just cruising along. Looking good there. Okay, I'm going to just leave him here. Now, let's go back to... Where did you end up? Alan Alda's not even close yet. it would appear. It's very hard to tell. I can't zoom out any further. It doesn't look like you're in the right place at all, though. I'm afraid he's going completely the wrong place. Okay, why don't you just stop? Drive to Wallace. Burke interchange. That I know will take you to the right place. And we're back with... Is this Woody Harrelson? I think it is. Yeah, Woody Harrelson. And I need to consult my spreadsheet, unfortunately, because I don't know if all the paper are actually going on the map. Right. So actually only 3 of these paper loads are going to any place on this map. The rest are actually leaving the map. So check to make sure that all the cars are loaded. They are. Yes. So now we can drive you to... Drive via Kellogg. Kellogg East Lead? Okay, we're going. Let's go over here and check where Kellogg East Lead actually is. Oh, there's Tasha Yar. Are we going to have problems with Tasha Yar? Kellogg East Lead is exactly where we want to go, but if I hadn't done this, then I wouldn't have known that Tasha Yar is potentially going to foul that track. Tell you what, let's have Tasha Yar. The computer hasn't quite calculated the path yet to this second switch, so we don't know if they're going to go in there, but I would assume not. Let's just take control now. It's not in any way the shortest path. Okay, sorry, not looking at anything except my spreadsheet. Tag is going to Smelterville Sand. It's going to Smelterville Sand. Yeah, I wish Cartager's formatting were better than this, you know? But there's not much I can do about it, obviously. It's a beautiful sight. Okay, we are no longer blocking the way. So I'm going to get out of the way. Throw that switch. And what else can we do in the very limited time that remains? We can look at our NP local, I dare say. So who would that be? I may have lost track of who is in charge of the NP local. I think it's Roger Moore. Now, that train is going into maintenance, but since there's no track currently free for that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull him forward to Water Tower? Well, anyway, pulling him forward to here. That's a lot of smoke. But you got to deal with it. And we brought more ore cars. I highly suspect we have more ore cars on the map than we need, which is probably slightly not prototypical, but that's okay. The important thing is that we do need to get these beer cars into Kellogg. Oops, totally speeding, just not paying any attention. Okay, so for the last thing to do this session, now that this train has successfully reached where it actually needed to go originally, as you know, that's what I really like about this game is managing the whole set of trains myself. But of course, in reality, there would be a separate person, maybe not today, but in reality, in those days, there would definitely be separate train crew on each locomotive, and they would never get lost. They would never go to the wrong place, as far as I know. They would go to where they were told to go. I mean, I guess I could imagine some situation where they might not, but yeah, it's a little bit difficult to imagine. All right, now I believe the the loading place is right. Okay, so it is right there by that little truck. Yeah. And that is lead, and I think we need 3 lead, but I'm not exactly sure. Gonna check it. No, we need 2 lead. So we'll find out what's going on there. But first things first, we're gonna... Oh. How did he end up going the wrong way? Just make sure that train is not moving. Sometimes that happens. Okay, so that is for lead. It is darn hard to read. Ah, the lead is loading. That's good. Ah, that's nice. Oops. Going too fast. Wait. Just pull it right beyond the switch here. Perfect. And I think we might as well check to make sure it's actually going to load. But that will basically bring us to the end. Let me pull up on screen what of our original tasks have actually made progress. Okay, so urgent, beer. Well, beer has arrived in Wallace. And of course, the non-urgent beer is now being loaded in Haugen. Fruit and goods, nothing happening there yet. They need to come onto the map, but the salmon, that will have been loaded by now. And then paper. Paper's been all loaded up. We should be almost to the scrap track by now on the other side of the map. And the sand, well, that will be loaded in the next session. The train is Tasha Yar, just waiting for that other UP train to pass by. Well, there's the music, so as you probably guessed, that's all the time we have for today. Hope you enjoyed yourself, and we'll see you again next time on the Wallace Branch.